our biggest month was actually this January. I think we
Really?
did like maybe 98K. So
Okay.
we just
Right
we
under.
just scratched the surface of 100K.
Welcome to the Home Service Chad Podcast, the show for home service entrepreneurs who don't just want to make money, but who also want to build elite lives and create impact. Each week, Louis sits down with high performers in home services to uncover the secrets to their success. No fluff, no shortcuts, just real conversations with those doing the work. Now, here's your host, Louis Moucher.
Alrighty, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Home Service Chad Podcast. Today we've got a young heavy hitter in the house. We got my boy Ryan Daniels. He's the owner, founder of RHI Pressure Washing out of Palm Beach, Florida. This guy's 22 years old, featured in Business Insider, doing, 4 months into the year, or 5 months, already at 450K, which is huge, really pushing big numbers. So yeah, bro, Ryan, I appreciate you coming on here. We connected kind of through social media because you do got a personal brand going too, which is pretty incredible. So yeah, bro, I appreciate you pulling up.
Yeah, happy to be here, man.
Well, let's get right into it, bro. For anyone new here or who doesn't know you, can you give everyone kind of the rundown, about the company, when you started it, why you started it? I know a little bit about your journey, but for anyone who's brand new, and how you got into it.
Yeah, to summarize it, I started in high school maybe, 5 years ago or so, just trying to make some money, and did really good, made a name for myself. I did everything back then from landscaping, painting, moving stuff, anything that someone needed, I'd do it. Eventually just focused on pressure washing and landscaping, and then went to college, went to University of Florida for a full year, so kind of put a hiatus on the business, and after a year of that, realized it wasn't for me, and dropped out and just been full-time at this for about 2.5 years now.
Sweet, brother. Dude, couple of things. Like, I think we'll just kind of get into anything that, I think is relevant and that we can give value to the audience. First thing I'm thinking of right now is you mentioned you used to do a bunch of stuff. Obviously, there's a lot of power you get from focusing on one specific thing. You can start to systemize it and
100%.
stuff like that. So can you kind of go over what made you really lock in on pressure washing and what other services you guys do? And kind of the importance of specializing, I guess, as opposed to just being the guy who'll do everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I think specializing in one thing will set you apart from others. The company name used to be Ryan's Home Improvement. And, when you see that name, you think I'm a handyman,
Right.
So eventually I just realized I'm spreading myself too thin. And I really, really found the love for pressure washing. We also do window cleaning and paver sealing, so just exterior cleaning essentially. And we've, created a pretty big name for ourselves. You read the name and you know exactly what we do.
RHI Pressure Washing.
Yes, sir.
What's RHI?
It used to be, Ryan's Home Improvement. I didn't want to.
Oh, okay.
I didn't want to switch it up too much because we honestly, we made a good name for ourselves. So just wanted to shorten it up and then add the pressure washing to it.
100%. For anyone watching, do you got any advice for like figuring out, what should I focus on? What services?
I would just say,
because obviously, I noticed this, but when we started pressure washing, it was like I started it too early, I feel like, when we should have just focused on windows and then introduced it later.
Mm-hmm.
But, you get a few leads for a different service, and then you start thinking, like, yo, maybe I should do this. But at the end of the day, it's just kind of like temptation,
Yeah, exactly. So, that's why I think specializing is the thing. Pressure washing, it's not too hard to learn. There's not much of a learning gap, even with window
Yeah.
cleaning too. Window cleaning's pretty easy.
Oh, it's even easier, bro.
Yeah, yeah, we got the water fed poles too. It's nice. So, um, yeah, just it's
What would you say
profitable.
to the guy? Because like it's a lot of teenagers and stuff like that who are probably just doing, kind of whatever they can get their hands on. If they're doing like kind of what you were doing before, landscaping, gutter cleaning, pressure, windows, all of it, bro. How should they figure out? This is what I'm going to focus on.
I would just say find something that you know takes it's easy to learn, easy to train. There's
Right.
not really much of a hump, and then of course profitability wise,
Yeah.
find something that actually makes the money.
Okay. Word. That's good advice. Um, Dude, I'm curious for your business because you guys also have like your company has a big online presence too, like on Instagram and stuff like that. But what's the actual operations looking like? Like, how big's your team? If we can get into numbers too, I'd be super, super curious about that. What the margins are looking like, where your labor's at. Yeah, can you, like, honestly get into that? Like, how many techs do you got, trucks, stuff like that?
Yeah, so right now we got two flatbed trucks, really nice trucks, and then we have a trailer, kind of sitting on the sidelines. As far as
Okay.
how
You
many
run one or
people,
two man crews?
so one of them, the way I have it broken down is one of the trucks is a pressure washing crew. Um,
Okay.
two of them go out do pressure washing all day.
Yeah.
And then the other trucks are paver sealing truck. All
Oh,
he
word.
does is pretty much pressure washing all month long, or paver sealing all month long. So, and he's a one man crew. Um,
Yep.
yeah, unless sometimes I flip flop them around depending on what's on the schedule, but that's
Yeah.
pretty much how I have it. I keep it, you know, lean, very lean. Um,
Yeah.
Saves my sanity and keeps the profits, and we're growing that
Hmm.
way. you know I don't like overextending myself until I need to, so
Yeah. Big time. How much are the trucks pulling?
like
Like, how much revenue do you do per truck?
so paver sealing's definitely higher revenue per
Really?
project.
Okay.
Absolutely. It that that brings in a lot of money. I would
What's your
say
average ticket in pavers?
uh average ticket
Couple
for
grand?
pavers, I would say it's maybe 2K.
Nice.
We
Flat.
we've done 10,000 square feet of pavers, and we do
Yeah.
500 square feet of pavers. So anything in between, we'll take care of.
100%. And then the pressure truck, what do you usually aim for on a day?
On the day, try aiming for around 15 to 2K a day.
Okay. For two guys?
Hmm.
Nice. Um, I'm honestly just super curious about like the numbers and stuff like that. Like, do you know what your labor is? Like, is your team on hourly or performance?
Yeah,
How do
right.
you kind of have that structured? And where do you try and keep your labor at?
Yeah, right now, we try keeping labor under 20%. Um, and
Nice.
then we do hourly. They get bonuses. It's a pretty good structure. We have ways for them to earn commission. Um,
Yeah.
just review
Like
bonus.
reviews?
Yeah, review
Word.
bonuses. So we have that. Um, Something new we actually just started up is like a competition amongst them who can get the most upsells. So that's something we
Mm.
just rolled out.
What's the incentive?
They'll get a Visa card right now,
Okay.
starting it small, $100 Visa card. See how that goes, but I plan on just like
Is
you
that
know
like monthly or?
yeah, monthly. Just this is actually the first month, and then if it goes well, just want to kind of grow that number and really start a competition amongst the team.
Yeah. Is it working?
It's working. I mean, they're hungry for it. They're trying.
Nice. That's what's up. Word, bro. Marketing stuff. Where you guys getting your jobs from?
Everywhere.
What kind of sauce could you give to the people out there? What would you actually say for like someone starting out, you know, who maybe doesn't have money to put into paid ads,
Yeah.
and who's like just trying to get their boots off the ground? Like, what would you do if you were brand new and you needed to get jobs on the table?
Yeah, so I literally started this business when I had no money at all.
Mm-hmm.
I had no money. I was picking weeds. You know, if you have no money, if you have no equipment, you could just get out there and just, find something, whether it's picking weeds or wiping down windows with the towel. You know,
Yeah.
you got to start at the bottom if you have nothing. So, I mean, that's pretty much how I grew. We're in no debt at all. Everything's
Nice.
paid off. Pretty much just started at the bottom, and just every dollar you get back, throw it back in, and
Yeah.
pays off.
Do you pay yourself?
I do.
Yeah, that's good.
Got to.
Yeah, I'm not paying myself right now, but I need to start. What I'm kind of noticing is since I'm not paying myself, I'm like not really seeing how healthy the business actually is,
hmm
because it's kind of like an illusion, the money in the business, because it's not necessarily the businesses, but
100%. Yeah,
yeah,
I didn't pay myself for the first, few years. I just if I needed something, I just take it out, but wasn't really
yeah, I
structured
feel
like a
that, bro.
salary.
Did you guys use any like debt to grow the company?
None.
Everything just bought cash?
Yeah, I mean, when I went and bought my first flatbed,
Mhm.
I my credit was new, so I couldn't even get approved for the loan.
Okay.
So I just bought it in cash.
Yeah, that's what's up. Dude, out of curiosity, why are you guys ripping flatbeds? And like, what's the whole setup look like on the flatbed? And then, like, how do you also bring the windows in?
Yeah,
Like the
so
water fed poles, is that just you pull it out, or is it connected to the buffer tank?
no, so it's definitely a compact system. Our trucks are very, very tight,
Yeah.
but they're efficient. We got two 8 gallon a minute machines. Um,
Wow.
we
So two
got
guys at once.
Yeah, so on
Okay.
on both of the trucks,
Yeah.
they're twin trucks, same exact model, same
Nice.
equipment, which makes it easy too. When equipment breaks, we just can flip flop. We just buy replacements, and it can go to either or. Um, but I started with the trailer, um, and then I realized when I was training my first technician, uh, I'm like, trailers are not working. Like,
Nah, hey, you don't want nobody driving a trailer.
exactly, especially with all the water and chemical that we have on it, like
Oh,
it can get really heavy.
yeah.
So just watching my guys like drive it and try backing it up every day, I was like, this is just it's wasting time. It's not efficient. Um, so I went to the flatbed model, and it's been working. I love the flatbeds.
Yeah. And then do you have the windows like as a separate thing? Like
Yeah.
you pull
So
the DI out and plug it into the house, or
yeah,
how does that work?
yeah,
Because I'm
we
trying to
do.
figure that out too. Because we've got one pressure washing truck, and it's like I want to find a way to build it out to do everything out of the buffer tank. But
Yeah, I
yeah, I still
mean,
don't know
if
what we're
if
gonna
you
do.
have the space, you could definitely do that. I mean, we only have one water-fed pool system. Um,
Yeah.
we honestly don't do much windows. If we do windows, it's like a upsell we get on a job. So we kind
Right.
of flip flop the window cleaning setup, and it fits. Just gotta lift it up and put it. We have a space between our tanks where it goes, and
Okay.
it's a
And you
mobile
plug it into the
system.
tank.
We plug it into the home.
Okay.
hmm
Wood. Yeah, that's what we do. Um, Kind of shifting gears here, bro. Do you have any mentors right now, or have you had any mentors that have like really helped you move the needle in your company? Because like, I guess you know a good amount of stuff. I feel like you've built a pretty strong business, and it's like there's a lot of trial and error that can be involved in that. So yeah, I'm curious if you had any, or if you've been in programs or stuff like that.
I mean,
Or I guess how'd you learn like even your numbers and how to track your numbers? Is that just like trial and error?
trial and error. I mean, I've joined. I don't know if you've ever heard of Conquer.
No.
It's I think it's a pretty decent size like coaching program with a
Okay.
few different coaches. I was
Who
in
runs it?
that. Sorry.
Who runs it?
I'm not. It's like a whole group of just like top dogs just coaching.
Okay.
Like they
Cool.
have business coaches, marketing coaches, um,
Nice.
pretty decent size. I did that for about maybe 3 months, and I wasn't really getting what I needed to get out of it. But it's just honestly trial and error is the way I've learned. Just reading Facebook groups too has taught me a lot, and just like bouncing ideas back with other people in the industry.
Okay. Have you found social media helps with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, why'd you start the personal brand? It's like I feel like starting a personal brand is kind of like it's not very intuitive, for the growth of your company. But at the end of the day, I feel like it all funnels in.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been stopped posting a lot of content, but I used to a lot more back in the day. When I first started, I would just take time lapses of like me weed eating. Like if you
Okay.
go back through my TikTok and stuff, you'll just see time lapses and videos. So I had a pretty big blow up in high school even.
Really?
Yeah. So
I only ever saw you on Instagram, bro.
yeah.
Like a year or two ago. Like a year ago.
Yeah, so I mean, I found your page. I thought what you were doing was cool, reminded me of me, and
Okay.
gave you a follow. But yeah, it started off TikTok, honestly.
What's your TikTok looking like?
We have like I said, I don't even really post anymore.
Yeah.
I think there's like 320,000 followers.
What?
Yeah, man,
Is this you or the company?
it's me. We also have a company
Holy
page.
smokes, bro. 320.
Yeah.
Jeez. Did that pushed like your services too for RHI?
Yeah, I've definitely gotten some jobs off it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean I just I like taking content, and I kind of just started posting, and some videos
Yeah.
blew up, and I was like, yo, I'm gonna keep doing this. And that kind of funneled into getting me Instagram followers and all that.
Dude, what advice do you got for people who want to start ripping a personal brand?
Just post. Just
How to
find.
get over the fear.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think
'Cause,
twice.
dude, you did it in high school, bro. That's like that's crazy work.
Yeah, no, it was definitely weird to do it in high school, and everyone knows you and you don't know them, and you're just like
Yeah.
walking through the halls, and they're like, "Yo, that's the TikTok kid."
Really?
So yeah, it was definitely but it's
I
cool.
was known as the window washing kid, bro.
Yeah, yeah, we all get a name.
Yeah. But how do you get over that fear of posting?
Um,
Because dude, so many people want to post, but they're like, "Yo, especially in high school, like, yo, what are my high school people gonna think?" I feel like you get out of high school and you realize, like, bro, that shit did not matter.
Yeah, no, it honestly doesn't matter. I think if you care what others think, that's just going to like hinder your growth. Whether that's posting content or just living your life the way you want to. But yeah, for me, it wasn't like a spot where I was like posting for like a year and didn't have followers. I kind of just like posted for the fun of it, and then like one of my first videos just blew up, and
Yeah,
I was like, all right, you know, like
that's what's up.
from one week I went to having maybe a few thousand followers on TikTok, and then 40K, and then
Jeez.
it just like shot off.
Yeah. Do you got plans with the personal brand? I know you do a bit of coaching, I think, right?
Yeah.
Um, do you got anything else going with that, or
So I mean, you know, I go through these phases of
what's
posting,
kind of the idea behind it, you know?
just trying to keep up. I like I think I've helped out a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, I get texts, DMs every day, just giving people advice. Um, Sometimes it gets too much, so you know, if someone wants to contact me about like deeper business questions, you know, I have that
Hmm.
option for them.
What are some of those questions?
Just, I mean, a lot of beginner questions, and then some get a little more sophisticated. It could be anywhere, just like people like, how do I start off, and then people people just wondering, you know, how to scale their company. I'm sure you get very similar questions.
I get a lot of beginner questions.
Yeah,
My audience is like people like 0 to 20K a month.
yeah,
Usually like one man shows, maybe a little bit. Maybe they got like at one helper or something like that. But yeah, it is very much the same questions. Um, it's hard to answer though. You know, it takes a lot of time.
it
So I was
does.
thinking just maybe just going live like once a week and just answering questions as good as I can. But then the other thing too is like, I mean, bro, advice is so conditional, right? It's hard to give someone advice because the advice you got that worked for you might not work for them. But
Exactly. I mean, you know, it's all where your area is and your mindset. So
yeah, yo, so I remember we were talking like a year ago. We were just texting. You guys have had some pretty crazy months, like over 100K, right? What's the biggest month
I think
in the books?
our biggest month was actually this January. I think we
Really?
did like maybe 98K. So
Okay, right
we
under.
just scratched the surface of 100K.
Yeah,
Um, so
dude, January. Is
January,
that's the
surprising,
time
right?
in Palm Beach?
Honestly, I was shocked. So I was going away for New Year's for like I think it was like a week or two.
Yeah,
Um, so come like November and December, I was just like, all right, I know I'm leaving and my guys need work. So I was
yeah,
just like slamming. I was just getting leads, booking out. That way I could, you know, chill on my break. Uh,
yeah.
so it
What
was,
do you do in a market? Like, do you do paid ads and stuff like that?
yeah, we do a little bit of everything. We're on Google. We're on Google. We're on Facebook. We're on, you know, Nextdoor app if you've heard of that.
Yeah,
Um, you know, just organically, you know, we pass flyers, we yard signs,
yeah.
networking groups, everything.
Okay.
But
Um, and so you're doing a lot of the sales.
yeah,
Nice. What's your sales process look like?
pretty much just got
'Cause
a
you're on Jobber, right?
jobber.
Okay. You like it?
I love it, man.
Nice.
I used to be a pen and paper guy, and then
Yeah.
did
The
like the
paper CRM.
yeah, that then did the Word docs. I mean, I still keep all my
Really?
papers. And it's like, holy crap, how was I doing that? It
Yeah.
would take me like 15 minutes to write up an estimate. Nowadays, it just takes like click of a button, honestly.
Yeah. What's the sales process look like? Can you kind of take us through that? You know, you get a lead, comes in from like a Facebook form or something. You get the contact information. What do you do from there?
It's all about acting quick. As soon as we get a lead, we try we try either scheduling out an appointment or you know sending them a quote within 30 minutes. Um,
Really?
yeah, so really quick. I'm in a high competition area,
Nice.
so
Yeah.
you gotta be quick. Time kills deals. Um, so
Time kills what?
deals.
Oh, deals. Yeah.
It absolutely does. You can't
I
sit
heard
on
a
it.
stat, dude, that like homeowners, 80% of the time they go with the first quote they got. So if you can be that first quote,
Yeah, absolutely. And
yeah,
I mean, honestly, we're pretty high priced relative to other
hmm,
companies in our area. I mean,
yeah,
there's companies that will do same job for half the cost. Um,
really,
I mean, it's just people don't set up their companies in the right way where they don't have that overhead and they're able to do that. Like, we even have roofers compensation because we do roof
mm,
cleaning. A lot of companies just 1099 their people.
right.
Um,
Your guys are W-2s.
yeah. So
Nice.
so not only does it protect my guys, me, but it also protects the homeowner. And I'd say out of 100 people in this area that are doing what we do,
Yeah,
maybe like 5 or 10 of them, actually have properly set up.
right. Yo, so obviously having good prices, you know, like not undercutting yourself is very important. This is something I realized this year. Last year we were honestly kind of like the guy who will do it for cheaper, and then this year it's like, no, we want to place ourselves as that premium service. So we actually increased our prices like 20%, which was great. Now everyone's making more money, but the one thing that I feel like with pricing, with increasing your prices, is you got to back it, right? Like if you increase your prices, you got to back it with a great service, with perceived value of the service and stuff like that. So what advice do you have for someone who wants to increase their prices? How do they keep that, still be the highest price but also be the best value at the same time?
I think
And what can you do to increase that perceived value without necessarily doing extra stuff?
I think branding is a big thing. Um,
Hmm.
you know, just like luxury brands, you have to, you know, but our logo isn't some cartoon with a low pressure washer.
Hmm.
That looks a little,
Ours is, bro.
yeah.
No, but we got a mascot. We just rebranded.
No, I think some mascots, like I've seen that type of model, that type of logo. It's pretty
Yeah,
sick. Um,
yeah.
especially if you do it right. I think a mascot is really cool. Um,
Hmm.
but just like, some people just do their little fervor logos that just look so
Fiverr?
cheap. Fiverr for it's fervor.
Really?
I thought it was Fiverr forever too, bro.
Nah.
At least that's what I heard. Hey,
Where'd you hear
tomato,
that from?
tomato.
Fervor?
Fervor.
Oh. Yeah, just Fervor $20 logo.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I
Um,
used to be there too, so
yeah. Yeah, dude. Something I learned this year with the program I'm in right now is like perceived value does not necessarily come from, and this is super important for everyone listening to this. Perceived value is not purely the service you're providing. It's not necessarily doing extra stuff on the job, even though that does increase perceived value, but it's everything from like you said, how fast are you answering the phone? How fast are you getting them that quote? Do you have someone in the office that can answer calls while the team is on the job? Or if a client tries to call you and you're on the job, you're going to call them back in an hour, stuff like that. Do you send them on the way texts? Do your guys show up in uniforms? Are you on time? Bro, there's so much stuff. And just by doing these things, at the end of the day, it's not that hard to show up on time and to have uniforms and to pick up the phone. But just doing these small things suddenly, like, dude, I don't know if you've ever called companies, but the other day I called a few like plumbing companies to just to kind of talk and just see like maybe if we can get a partnership going. There was one that had an office, and I was like, yo, maybe they have some space. Dude, no one picks up the phone, bro.
yeah,
It's kind of crazy.
yeah,
I'm
100%.
like, I call them, no one picks up, no one calls me back either, and I'm there thinking like, yo, what if I was a lead? And what if you're spending money on leads and you got a $20 cost per lead or a $25 cost per lead, and you're not even picking up the phone.
Yeah. No, exactly. I mean, I've dealt with the same thing. Um, I think that's a lot of people's downfall. They just don't answer the phone.
Yeah, 100%. Dude, talking a little bit about brand here. One thing I learned working with this company, Bananas Creative, is like your brand needs to, it's not necessarily like what you want your brand to be like, but your brand needs to be what your ideal client would want to engage with, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of guys, I feel like they want to have this brand with like a jacked mascot and like some like a scary bear or something like that. But at the end of the day, decision maker in the family. I heard a stat, it's something like 80% of the home decisions are the wife. And so you want a brand that can, you know, if you're doing homes and stuff like that, you want a brand that appeals to usually the wife. But then if you're doing stuff like, I don't know, you guys do a lot of commercial, I think like that driveway ceiling, that might be more the husband. What do you think of that? You know, do you know who you're usually dealing with it? Is it usually the wife or the husband?
I would say mostly the wife. I mean, in the end, I think for a lot of people, the wife has the final say, at least when it comes to the type of services. I mean, especially window cleaning for you, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I think window cleaning is probably usually always the wife.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you definitely got to know your target market and tailor your company to who you're targeting.
100%. Yeah, I don't know. I've also seen it though, like if you're doing concrete or if you're doing, you know, roofing, that's usually going to be the guy. So I've seen some pretty aggressive brands that I'm sure do really well for that kind of stuff. But yeah, for anyone watching, like make sure your brand is not just what you want, but what your ideal client wants. And if you don't have your ideal client yet, look through all your customers, try and figure out like, you know, what's the perfect customer in here. You know, what person gave us the most revenue on a yearly basis, you know, who's signing up for all of our service every year, who's the best client to work with, stuff like that, and then just write it out. You know, we've got a document and it's just called Ideal Client Avatar, and then when we do our marketing, when we send out newsletters, we're reading that. I give that to ChatGPT. I'm like, this is our ideal client, this is who we're trying to speak to, this is what we need to say. Boom, spits it out, right?
Yeah.
You got anything else on brand that you want to drop for the people?
I would just you know, keep it to what your services are. I have my old business cards and they used to go crazy. Like it would literally list every service in the world. I mean,
Yeah.
it used to be me pushing a lawnmower with a paintbrush with
What?
like fences in the back. So yeah, just you got to keep it to what you are. And
That's funny.
also plan for the future. That's huge, and I think that's why I had
What do you
to
mean by that?
I had to, you know, spend so much and change so much, and changing, you know, your name and your logo constantly isn't really a good move. If you're just
What do you mean by plan for the future?
plan where you plan 5 years down the line where you want your company to be, and where you want what you want your company to offer. So that's why I went down the pretty, you know, our logo's minimalistic, you know.
Yeah, 100%. My coach told me, like, treat your business how you want it to be,
Hmm.
you know, and act like, dude, I call myself the CEO, even though I've got, like, 3 or 4 employees, but it's like, you know, eventually I'm going to be the big time CEO and I'm going to be making CEO decisions
Hmm.
all the time. Whereas, like, realistically, bro, I'm a general manager. you're probably a general manager too, but yeah, I do think it's important to treat your company where you want it to be like, even if you can't afford it sometimes. You know, if that means like buying the next CRM subscription that's going to help you unlock something, which is going to be necessary for where you want your company to be, I'd say go for it. Kind of moving forwards here, bro. You're obviously super young. You're 22, 100K a month. You know, 450K on the year already. It's not even halfway done. You guys might crack $1 million. Do you think you're going to crack $1 million this year?
I think so. As summers are slow months, but last year, I mean, this is our first year going full time, 2 crews every day.
Nice.
And that started in November. We just get slammed in November.
That's crazy, bro.
All the snowbirds come down. We work
Yeah.
with a lot of property management companies. We'll be doing a lot of
Are these like HOAs and stuff like that?
not really HOAs. We do have a few, but just I mean we have some nice contracts with some banks that we do. We do all of the southeast region.
Wow.
And then just property management companies. We live in.
How do you land property managers in these big commercial accounts?
Honestly,
Like, how do you market yourself to them?
they come to us.
They come to you, eh?
Yeah, it's just with the big ones like that. It's kind of just
Yeah.
been. I mean, one of our biggest clients. It's funny because we went and did this little patio cleaning, and next thing I know, a few months later, they're like, "Yo, we need you to, take over this role, because our other pressure washer is lacking." So it's like you never know who you're working for, and that 250 patio cleaning has turned into over 6 figures.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy smokes, dude. So yeah, milli on the year, that's the goal, I guess. What do you have like moving forwards? Like, what's your vision for the company, you know? You're really young, bro. It's like, dude, you keep moving like this, you're gonna be doing like 100 mil.
Yeah. So honestly,
Maybe, hopefully.
uh, uh,
But yeah, like what's your vision right now?
honestly, I think the next steps for us is to um, s- pretty much take this current location up to maybe
Yeah.
3 to 4 trucks at max, and
Okay.
then within about 2 years, I want to definitely have another location up.
Okay. And that'd be like same kind of office running the 2 locations.
Yeah. So with the way I want it for my employees is
Yeah.
I don't want them to be pressure washing forever, and if
Yeah.
they have what it takes, I'd like to help them start up their own RHI location. So that's kind of my growth plan for them.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you tell that to them?
yeah, one of them we're pretty serious about.
Cool.
He's a really good guy and definitely has what it takes if he puts the work into it. So, um, yeah, that's the plan. Just get to another location, and then maybe another, and then
And then you'd kind of profit share with them on the location they manage. Is that what you're thinking?
yeah. I mean, in the end, I'll be the one. I'll be the one who runs it, or the CEO, but
Yeah.
they'll be running the office operations, the you know
Office too, eh?
yeah, just and
Nice.
managing the trucks, managing employees, um and yeah, just give them a nice cut of it, where they
Yeah.
they they get to taste what the business has to offer.
Would that be a profit share or
That's the plan. It's still in the
yeah,
works
or
for
a
sure.
revenue share maybe?
I mean, I think it comes down to profit. You
Yeah.
could do $1 million in revenue, but you could lose money.
Yeah.
So I think revenue doesn't matter. It's all about profit.
Revenues for vanity, bro.
Yep. Amen.
Dude, we hit our first 50K month last month, and I look at our like accounting statement. I think it's the income statement. I forget which one. Dude, it was 2K in profit, bro,
Holy shit.
on everything. And then it's obviously like we had a lot, like I don't exactly know, like our labor right now is at 25%, and then with burdens like payroll taxes and stuff, it's at 30, which isn't bad. You know, like you can run a profitable business. But we've got a lot of our like upfront yearly expenses that we're right now, and so I know you're meant to kind of split those up. And like our rebranding and stuff like that. We bought a domain for like 5K. So yeah, like I think we're profitable, but that made me realize like, bro, you can bring a lot of money in, but it can all go out.
Yeah.
Really, really easily.
Yeah. The little costs add up, and there's so many costs that
The
comes into it.
subscriptions, bro. The Google Workspace.
Yep.
The other thing too is it's like was kind of my mindset last year. I'm like, oh, I'm reinvesting. You know, I'm putting it back in. I'm plowing it back in, and it's like, dude, where is it going though?
Yeah.
You know, I look at the account at the end of the year. I'm like, bro, where'd the money go? It's like, yeah, we got the pressure washing trailer. We got a new van. What else did we get? I don't know.
Yeah.
So it made me realize, like, bro, you got to be like, you don't want to be frugal. You kind of want to be frugal though.
Yeah, you just have to actually think of what you're doing before you spend the money, because
Yeah.
you know people go out and buy all this nice equipment, but does it really matter if you don't have the jobs for it? You know,
Yeah.
I see that all the time. New people with nicer rigs than ours, and I'm like, you know, it's
Marketing
You
and
got to
sales,
make
right?
calculated investments for sure.
Yeah. Talking about margins, bro. What's the bottom line looking like? What do you think is a healthy bottom line?
We have high margins. Last year we got 2 trucks and
Bought 2 trucks?
bought 2 trucks. One at
Wow.
the beginning, one at the end. I think we were at like 45% profit margins.
Nice. Like net?
Yeah,
Is that paying yourself or no?
yeah.
Dang. Dude, that's really good. Why do you think it was that high? So your labor's at like 25, 20 after all burdens?
We got marketing at like maybe 5%.
It's not bad. That's good.
Yeah, I don't know the firm numbers off the top of my head, but you know, we get good equipment that doesn't really break. Thankfully, we've
Yeah.
been really blessed this year. Minimal break in. Just then we have, you know, chemical cost and, you know,
What's your overhead?
our overhead a month.
Or like,
I mean, if
do you
we're
have like office?
if we're excluding employees from it and
Yeah.
you know, equipment
Like
and
office
chemicals,
employees and stuff?
yeah, I would say we're probably at like $3,500 a month in just
Okay.
overhead. So it's very low.
Dang, dude, that's a high profit business.
Yeah, I mean,
High margins.
we store our trucks in just an empty lot.
Really?
So that's pretty cheap.
Did you ever get them broken into or no? Are you just
No,
dropping them there?
no, yeah. I mean, it has cameras. It's in a good area.
Okay.
So, you know, just it's not being frugal, but you just gotta think is there a cheaper
Yeah.
way of doing this? It's not like
Yeah.
you're buying poor equipment or anything like that. It's just there's always somewhere where you could cut cost without like negatively impacting, you know, your employees or the way your business runs.
Dude, here's what's crazy, bro, and I thought about this the other day, and it's like like, think about it for anyone listening, because it's not necessarily exactly true. But cutting costs, if you cut costs, it pretty much goes straight to the bottom line, right? Unless it hinders your company by cutting that cost, which it might a tiny bit. But increasing revenue doesn't necessarily go straight to the bottom line, right? Depending on how you're doing it, because there's probably going to be direct labor attached to that revenue. Might increase the overhead you need to run your company, stuff like that. But dude, cutting costs, straight to your pocket. So I never really thought of cutting costs. And now I'm like, dang, that's a way to make more money. Because at the end of the day, profit's all that matters, right?
Yeah, I mean, like for example, we have a lot of chemical places because we use a lot of bleach
Right.
for our cleaning. If we go to this one spot, we're paying 20% more. If we go there every day, we're spending an extra maybe 1 to 2K a month on it. Versus
Yeah.
if we go to this spot, we're saving 1 to 2K. So it's just things like that.
10K a year, bro.
Exactly.
Straight to your pocket. Yo, so we got like a little less than 15 minutes here. I want to put this, like, for everyone watching, bro, like, obviously we're talking about sunshine and rainbows right now, mostly. Have you had any, like, really rock bottom moments? Or, like, have you ever been sued or damaged someone's property or something like that, or just, like, really lows?
Honestly, nothing too crazy. We've had the scares.
Yeah.
We've had the scares, but it all works out in the end.
Right.
Yeah, nothing too crazy. Nothing that money can't fix.
Okay. What would you say, what can money not fix?
I don't know. Maybe losing it.
Death?
Yeah, losing an employee.
Right.
Stuff like
Injuries.
that. I mean, I had a few months ago. I had one of our guys that been with us for like 2 years end up leaving us, and it was probably the best thing for us. I mean, I was stressed. I didn't know what to do, but I realized he was really hindering our growth, and it ended up opening up a spot for someone who can actually be better for us and make my life a whole lot easier.
In what way do you think he hindered you?
Just
And also, like, how did he quit or did you fire him, or was it kind of mutual?
it was definitely mutual.
Yeah.
Just late,
Right.
unprofessional kid. Um, just his attitude. He was a bad apple, and he would just complain, which would get to the whole team's head. So it's like, you know, moving forward now, if I ever see an indicator of that in anyone,
Yeah.
I'm just getting rid of them. Um, it was,
What do you look for in guys,
I think,
in technicians?
the ability to learn and just attitude. Those are the
Attitude, right?
those are the two most important things. It doesn't matter if they've never, pressure washed before. That's
Yeah.
trainable if they're eager to learn. So,
Yeah. We had that at the start of the season. We actually lost 3 guys. We started the season with 4 technicians, and then we lost 3 of them, and then hired another one, and now we're at 2. But I kind of hired this person out of desperation, which off the bat, like, if you guys are listening to this, try and hire before you need people, or at least have people lined up. Obviously you don't want to be paying people when you don't need to. But at the end of the day, dude, they were not a very happy person. And you probably noticed that, but like on huddles and stuff like that, and just in general, it hit on everyone. And then it was like, bro, when luckily they quit, because I don't want to have to fire people, even though firing is kind of necessary. I've never actually had to fire anyone, but yeah, you could really feel it off everyone's shoulders. and it was kind of a relief. So
Yeah,
definitely know
absolutely.
what you mean.
Yeah.
Word, bro. You got anything else you wanna drop for the people out there?
I think just consistency. Their business, especially startup like mine and yours, is just highs and
Yeah.
lows. I mean,
Yeah.
if you don't think about giving up at least once a day, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, 100%. How do you get through those though? Like those ups and downs, because it happens so much.
Yeah, just keep pushing. Honestly, that's all you can do, and
Right.
it'll work itself out.
Okay. Um, I guess that's how we'll wrap it up then, bro. Last kind of question, bro. Obviously, like, where can people find you, what you're at, and stuff like that?
Ryan S. Daniels on everything: Instagram,
On
TikTok.
TikTok. I'm gonna have to check that TikTok.
Don't scroll too far, bro.
Nah. We'll see. Dude, do you got any, like, I like, asking people about, like, books and stuff. You know, books don't really move the needle, but I think they can help, if you implement them. Do you have any books that really had a big impact on your life
I
or on
think,
your company
yeah,
that
like
maybe aren't like the common books?
one of the one of the first books I read, I still really enjoy. It's Atomic Habits. It's not really
Okay.
so much about business, but definitely can help. Um, lot of gems in that
That's
book.
one that you gotta reread, eh?
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
Any kind of more like business oriented or principles that you started to implement or anything like that, or
And I got my whole list up here. Just, I read a lot of mindset books because
mm,
a strong mindset will reflect in business. Um,
right?
so yeah, I really enjoy mindset books. Um,
Like what?
like Atomic Habits, The Power of Now.
Mm,
Yeah, pretty much all my books. I have some marketing books
yeah.
that are good
Like what?
reads. Uh,
Dude, I'm just curious, bro. I wanna.
marketing for dummies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bet. I've heard direct, no BS, direct marketing's good, but I haven't actually read it yet. Sweet, bro. Well, everyone out there, go check out my boy Ryan. 650K last year. Might crack a mill this year. 22 years old. I mean, bro, anyone can do it. I feel like you're the example. You know, you started from zero, picking weeds. Now you guys are doing big numbers. Um, so, brother, I appreciate you pulling up. Everyone out there, go check out Ryan. Go check out our other episodes. See you guys on the next one. Peace.